Overnight shelter has once again been denied. Our Peyton Brooker has more on this story.
On Wednesday, the Marietta Planning Commission met to discuss the proposal of having the Washington County Homeless Project run an overnight shelter on 3rd Street. The executive director of the Homeless Project, Susan Arnold, says they wanted to move also their primary location from Front Street.
The first goal was to move this process, our day shelter, to our home on 3rd Street. And then additionally, we were going to open the shelter at night for an overnight shelter for not necessarily homeless people, but anybody who needed a place to sleep.
According to the mayor of Marietta, Josh Schlicker, one of the problems addressed was seeing if people were going to be background checked.
And then the public, is concerned with, either criminal backgrounds or mental backgrounds or sexual backgrounds, and so all that comes into conditions that can't be met at that facility for some folks.
Arnold says if approved, the shelter would provide those background checks. It was eventually decided by the Planning Commission to unanimously vote down the proposal.
The issue was the location. People could not get past the location of the house we had purchased. But as far as, I think, our plan, our assessments, everything we were going to do, I believe we are being supported.
According to a letter from the Field, Dimlow, and Vessel's attorney's office, the shelter would have also been less than 1,000 feet from the daycare center, which would break the law if a sex offender was staying over. Schlicker says Marietta does have funding to help in some capacity, but in a broad range can't support to house as many people the project was asking.
Get money from the federal government. We don't get money from the state to run programs such as those. Now, we do have a little money that we get from the Community Development Block Grant Program from HUD, but as just a general broad range, we don't have millions of dollars of taxpayer dollars that we can put forward to house.
Arnold adds on Monday the Homeless Project will be going over their options.
We're having an emergency board meeting on Monday to discuss our options, to discuss our future, and to make some plans. But here's the important thing that everybody needs to understand. We're not giving up. We're not quitters.
This is Peyton Brooker in Marietta, WTAP News.
Coming up, flu cases have risen to 15 million.